including over Europe's digital rules, saying the US could target the EU with tariffs if it enforces its Digital Services Act on American tech giants.
US President Donald Trump has threatened to block the opening of a new bridge linking the US and Canada across the Detroit River. He says he will not allow the bridge to open unless Canada agrees to hand over at least half of the project's ownership and meet other unspecified conditions.
In a post on Truth Social, Trump said Washington must be fully compensated for what he described as everything the US has given its northern neighbor. He added that negotiations over the issue would begin immediately. The bridge, which is designed to ease heavy truck traffic between the two countries, was originally scheduled to open in early 2026. Construction on the project began in 2018. Trump has repeatedly targeted Canada during his second term, including sharply raising tariffs on Canadian imports into the US. Last month, he also warned of a 100% tariff if Canada moved ahead with a trade deal with China.
That's the headline for tonight. We'll be right back with more news after the break.
Di sini, tiada keputusan boleh diraba. Setiap detik penuh kejutan dan drama. Hati yang berani akan terus mara. Sorakan kita menguatkan keazaman pasukan. Ini padang kita, Liga Super, secara langsung di Astro Arena Bola dan Astro Go.
Hamas says it is fully prepared to hand over administrative authority in Gaza to a newly formed Palestinian Technocratic Committee. The US president cannot threaten his way into owning Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark.
Welcome back. Bangladesh has secured a trade deal with Washington, cutting tariffs on its goods from 20 to 19%. Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus says the deal allows some Bangladeshi apparel goods to enter the US market tariff-free, provided they use American raw materials. Under the deal, Bangladesh will offer preferential market access to a range of US industrial and agricultural goods. The agreement also outlines major commercial commitments, including plans to buy 14 Boeing aircraft, billions of dollars in US agricultural imports, and up to $15 billion in US energy purchases over 15 years. Bangladesh is the first South Asian country to finalize a reciprocal trade deal with the Trump administration, as India continues negotiations. The garment sector remains critical to Bangladesh's economy, accounting for around 80% of exports and employing about 4 million workers. The agreement comes just days before Bangladesh heads to the poll, following months of interim rule after the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. China says it will offer firm support for forces in Taiwan that favor reunification, while taking a hard line against what it calls separatist activities. Wang Huning, the senior official in charge of policy towards Taiwan, says authorities must advance the cause of national reunification while safeguarding peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait.
Beijing, which claims Taiwan as its own territory despite objections from the government in Taipei, has stepped up military and political pressure on the island in recent years. While Wang did not explicitly mention the use of force, China has never renounced the option of military action to bring Taiwan under its control. There was no immediate response from Taiwan's government, which maintains that only the island's people can decide their future. China continues to refuse contact with Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te, rejecting his calls for talks and labeling him a separatist. Beijing has also repeatedly warned other countries, including the US, against what it calls interference in the Taiwan issue, saying it is a purely internal matter.
International criticism is growing after Israel announced new measures to expand control over the occupied West Bank. The plan, approved by Israel's Security Cabinet, would allow Jewish Israelis to to buy land directly in the West Bank and extend Israeli authority into areas currently run by the Palestinian Authority.
It is not yet clear when the measures would take effect. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned the move could further undermine a two-state solution, citing an international court ruling that calls Israel's occupation illegal. A joint statement from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the UAE, Qatar, Indonesia, Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey condemned the decision. Palestinian officials called it an attempt to annex the West Bank, while analysts said the plan could leave Palestinians confined to increasingly fragmented enclaves. The West Bank has been under Israeli occupation since 1967, home to around 3 million Palestinians and more than 500,000 Israeli settlers.
Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party has secured a two-thirds supermajority in the lower house, marking its strongest performance in 7 decades. Official results show the LDP won 315 seats in weekend snap elections, giving Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi a strong mandate to shape policy over the next 4 years.
The supermajority allows the government to push legislation through even if it is blocked by the upper house, where the ruling bloc is weaker. It also opens the door to potential constitutional changes, a long-standing goal for Takaichi and Japan's conservatives. Still, major challenges remain. Domestically, Takaichi's government faces pressure to help households cope with rising living costs, while supporting economic growth without raising investor concerns about Japan's high debt levels. She has pledged to overhaul Japan's security and defense policies by December in a move aimed at strengthening the country's military capabilities. Geopolitically, tensions with China remain sensitive. Relations have been strained after Takaichi suggested Japan could intervene if China moved militarily against Taiwan, drawing strong objections from Beijing.
The last nuclear arms control pact between the United States and Russia has expired, raising fears of a renewed arms race. The Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, known as New START, was signed in 2010 and designed to help prevent a nuclear war. Fyodor Lukyanov, the research director of Valdai Discussions Club, Russia, explains why this could mark a new era for nuclear superpowers and why the old treaty no longer fits today's reality.
Why this is a milestone? Because the whole era of bilateral treaties, bilateral agreements between Russia and the United States is over. And that was really a cornerstone, not just START, but all treaties of that line. That was a cornerstone of the so-called strategic stability. The situation when two nuclear superpowers were relatively transparent to each other in order to secure each other, to assure each other that there is no preparation for anything bad. Some people say that this is the final end of the arms control completely. Other people are a little bit more optimistic, saying that this model is over, but another model will replace it. Maybe it will be the case in the future, but at this point, it's very difficult to imagine any efficient work on the new document because situation changed completely. United States insists that China should be part of this process, which means that it will not be the bilateral anymore, at least trilateral. Russia says that it's up to China. China doesn't want. But if we insist that China should join, then of course other nuclear powers, in particular UK and France, should join too. And then we also have a lot of new technical means like hypersonic weapons, like AI, like different kinds of drones, and everything should be included in this framework, which was not, of course, the case before when we did not have all this all these technologies.
Will the end of the nuclear deterrence treaty increase the risk of a new arms race or even nuclear war? Fyodor Lukyanov shares his view on the new nuclear reality.
So there are a lot of discussions, in particular here in this country, in Russia, whether nuclear deterrence is still as efficient as before. And we can discuss in the context of the Ukrainian war. But at the end of the day, we don't see any direct collision between Russia and the US. And this is that demonstrates that the deterrence works. So, and I think that in other cases like Pakistan, India, for example, it will continue to work as well. We saw last year a conflict between Pakistan and India, which was very severe, but very short, because everybody understands that any conflict between nuclear powers should be addressed immediately and de-escalated. Otherwise, it might be uncontrollable. So I think that it's not a good thing that this treaty expired and all those treaties now out of function. But we should not expect a collapse of everything and a nuclear war coming, looming in the near future. It's rather another demonstration that the system, the previous international system, as it was formed in the second half of 20th century, is over.
Amid rising tensions between nuclear powers, Fyodor says rebuilding trust is essential to establish a new arms control framework.
You cannot achieve the new institutional framework, a normative framework for this relationship without strengthening trust and taking confidence-building measures. First, you should do this, and this is that can be done in case the existing conflicts might be addressed in the proper way, be it Russian-Ukrainian conflict and others. And then we can start to think about this new framework. Otherwise, just to say, let's have a new document, and this document will strengthen trust. Unfortunately, it will not work in this way.
That concludes AWANI International for tonight. Stay with us as we track the strategies and power shifts shaping the new global order. For more updates, visit international.astroawani.com and follow us on social media. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching and good night.